Hey everybody, hope you're having a fantastic day. So, in this video, I will be reacting to Mike Diavella's latest video, 10 Small Changes That Will Improve Your Life. This guy is a juggernaut in the self-development space, and as someone who has for years loved self-development and blogged about it, made some viral posts, and started a YouTube channel about it, a blog, even a podcast. I would love to kind of react to this and see what we can learn from this video. So let's just get started. Let's have some fun. Let's go. Okay, so I'm just going to stop it right there. And first off, acknowledge how great it is that the self development community, in large part, not just Matt, but all the hundreds of bloggers and influencers, have kind of stuck on and clung to this idea of habit formation. It's a simple idea, but it used to be so underrated. But as Warren Buffett says, the chains of habits are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. And I'm so glad that they've kindly doubled down on this and essentially just made it so much more important and exciting. And that's something that happened naturally. I think people just gravitated to the whole word of habit, but I'm excited to see if I, as a someone who's seasoned in this space, will learn anything new. I'm hoping so. This one's interesting. I don't know if it would work for everyone. For me, I've placed my alarm clock kind of behind my bed here. So I do have to reach over, but it's like down on the floor behind my bed, which means I can't just reach over and get it. I have to crawl up, peek down, and then turn off my alarm. But even then, when you have to move forward, I've been in situations where um, yeah, I used to sleep on the floor just to test it out a bit as a kind of minimalism back alignment thing when I was getting a new mattress. And each time that happened, I had to get up and go turn off my alarm. And sometimes, no matter how annoying it is, if you're tired enough, you just sleep through it anyways, and you hate the sound of it the whole time. I guess it kind of helps. I would like to do some more extended testing with that to really see if it works. The whole concept, though, of relying on a very screeching, annoying alarm or even a less annoying sound, because I know you could switch up the alarm to chimes. In fact, I might try doing that. I used to have it on chimes. Um, Never really seemed to be super appealing to me. Like it should be exciting and not an annoyance. This one I generally like. I would make the slight feedback that depending on your personality type, um, those types of rigid kind of rule formatted things will not work for everyone. Obviously, Matt is has a very unique personality, kind of in a certain group of men who are very kind of rule abiding, likes to tick things off. But there's plenty of other people who are more free willed or just kind of like to go with the flow. And so the tweak I would make is not to scrap this completely, but focus on the essence of it, which is the intent behind it. The intent is to really have something. Maybe it's sticky notes for some people. I've found that the more freewheeling type who like to just go with the flow, they like to see something like physical and visual, whether that's a whiteboard or something. And that tends to work for them. And the really intent behind it is to, you know, nail down the things that will make the most impact so you don't keep putting them off. There's always going to be stuff to do, and you can fill your day with all sorts of crap. Um, and even if you feel accomplished at the end, if most of the stuff you did was kind of low impact, and what you really needed to do, like go to the gym, meditate, exercise, uh, work on your business, gets kind of pushed off for smaller things like, uh, you know, let's play with the dog. Let's wash the dishes. Let's play around and clean the room. Even though they're good tasks, they're not epic tasks. Let's move on. Okay, before we comment on this whole idea, which I like, notice his production quality. He goes from him, opening up his laptop, logging into this Gmail service, every step of it, and it's sequential, it's chronological, it's smooth. And although he could have done it with stock, at least that first shot, he filmed it himself. I think this video gives a nod to why Matt is at the top, but I wouldn't say it's because of this type of video. There's some other incredible videos that really made him take off. This is just kind of speaking to that. Okay, I'm going to stop it there because I get the point. I love this a lot. And it's so fascinating how kind of these tips will kind of converge almost as a kind of like parallel form of natural selection, which actually happens in the world of animals, where bats and birds might develop uh, similar functions to the same outcome, or even different types of birds who live in different places in on Earth diverge and turn like almost grow the same like set of morphology to solve a problem. And so what I mean by this is like I've heard this tip too, not from her, not from him, but through career advice through Ramit Sethi and his network of his career uh, advice tips and his courses. And so he kind of explains it differently, and there's a little bit of a different bend to it. But essentially, what you want to do is while you are working, you have to build up specific, tangible things that you can present when you are applying for work in the future. Um, and what the average person does is they don't keep a record of this. So then when they're at the new job, even if they've done it, they've forgotten it and they can't present it in a very clear, tangible way. This is something that I have worked on. I need to work on it better. And essentially, what I have is I have what I call a jar of awesome, two jars of awesomes. One is for work, one is for personal life. The one for work, honestly, I haven't been updating them. I used to update them all the time, but it's just kind of fallen into the back burner. But essentially, any type of major win or even moderate win, I'll put for my career, I'll put into that stuff that I know are the type of things that a future employer would be interested in. So that depends on your career. For a designer, it's certain deliverables or graphics you create for certain businesses. Uh, but maybe if you are a marketer in marketing, people care more about the tangible numbers. I drove X amount of leads uh, at X price, cost per lead, and delivered X amount of sales using XYZ Facebook ads, social marketing tactic for this big brand company. Those are the stats that matter. And it varies depending on the industry. But once you're aware of that and you file it away, it's gold. So that's a good reminder for me. Not a new tip, but a good reminder. As far as the personal jar of awesome, I think he took this from his wife and then kind of used it for his personal and career, but I don't think he understands the power of it for your personal life. I found out about this jar of awesome through um, the Tucker Max podcast, Mating Grounds, and he was coaching a young man who had very low self-esteem and self-loathing, and that kind of crippled his ability to form good relationships romantically and so forth. And so what they had him do was to write down all the good things that happened today so that he wouldn't forget them and he could remind himself. For me, I didn't have as extreme a situation, but I knew I wasn't always confident in myself and my self esteem could get so low. So, yeah, I did it for my personal life and I need to work on that again because I kind of dropped off. But there was a time when I was putting a lot in and reading it out and it helped a lot. As you can see, I have my hydro flask here. I love water and green tea, never drink coffee or alcohol. That's just me. Um, Most of my peers love alcohol, and that's fine. It's part of the culture. Um, I love this tip. It's simple, it's to the point, it gets you there. The one thing I would add is that eight 8-ounce glasses a day is the national recommendation based off some association. That I truly believe is not the same for each individual because I tried to drink 8-ounce glasses a day. I could not. I was bloated after maybe three or four, three tops usually. And I guess I don't know what it was based on my body and system. It almost felt like I couldn't take it anymore. I was going to throw up. And so I personally, for whatever reason, my body needs less water. That said, I have run across various people who are close to me who have encountered dehydration because they're working out or they're doing something and they just never cared about water. It's for this reason and others that I have always highly focused on drinking enough water every day. Plus, it's very useful for health, for hydration, for exercise. So obvious, but that was the thing. And even before I encountered those dehydration encounters, you know, I was still very kind of vigilant with my water drinking. And, some people would just kind of look at me a little weird and think like, why you care so much about water? And, I don't know if they rolled their eyes, but maybe they did in their head. It certainly felt that way sometimes. And, look what happened. It wasn't that person, but other people I encountered in my life faced dehydration issues, and others that sent them to the hospital and so forth. So let's continue. And by the way, those dehydration issues, like they were just normal average people. They weren't like going out into the desert and working out like crazy. It was just they were living their normal day-to-day lives, doing some light exercise, and forgot. That's true. That's a good point. Hydro Flask is the best. Okay, so now he's definitely just pulling from the archives of like general like stuff that will improve your life. And if you go down that archive, there's probably 100 random tidbits and stuff. This one especially, never go to bed angry with your wife. Is that really? I know it's a cliche. I know it's a movie cliche. I know family members and people I've met who have told this, mentioned it, and that's how they live. I've seen it in pop culture, seen YouTubers say it. But is it actually something that is scientifically proven to be helpful for preventing divorce? As far as John Gottman goes, and his decades of research on uh, divorce, and his high success rate in predicting divorce, like 90 something percent, when the average marriage counselor is no better than a 50-50 coin toss, he's never really mentioned this. um, what does matter though is uh, the amount of times you turn away from your spouse. What I mean by turn away is if they make some action for some reciprocation and respect, communication, appreciation, or just I notice you, I hear you, and you turn away from that and ignore that. It could be something small, like you're watching TV, and then they say something about how their day wasn't going well, or they got a new haircut, and you ignore that. That is a red flag. That is a mark. The more of those that happen, huge issue. Yeah, that's the one I'm most unsure about. I can't say it's bad advice, of course. You know, I can see how uh, it would suck to kind of hold that in the whole night and then wake up, continuing that. But that doesn't guarantee that the relationship will end or that, it's gonna you've given the green light for it to continue forever. They could definitely resolve it the next day if need be. And I'm picturing a lot of long nights where you get no sleep because you have to resolve the issue and you end up staying up really late trying to talk about it. Um, Fun fact, John Gottman says that happy couples argue just as much as couples that end up divorcing. Through all his research of tens of thousands of couples, it's not the arguing, it's how they argue. And that's a video on its own. Or just read his books. Okay, so I'm going to put it to 1.25, 1.5 times speed. It was already on 1.5 or 1.25. Just because I know this video is getting way too long and people are dropping off. In terms of this organic thing, I'm really curious about this. I've tried organic and kind of extended a little bit beyond my budget to do so just to see if there's a difference. Sometimes I don't know if there is. I feel like a lot of it's marketing hubbub. I know it's the insecticides, but some things do you really care? I mean, they've extended organic to bed sheets. Like organic cotton, is that really necessary? You're not eating the cotton here. Let's see what he has to say. Those are very famous vegan documentaries. So I wish he would have kind of given some nod at most of his audience who were probably not as rich as him. Obviously, I feel like if most of us had a boatload of money, why not? Let's just get grass fed, cage free, pasture raised food all the time, organic. But I wish he would have at least said, like, okay, if your budget doesn't allow for organic, maybe dedicate 5% of your budget to 5% of your foods or organic or something like that. But there was no nod towards that. That would have been at least a step in the right direction there. I also wish he kind of covered why. In terms of the research I've seen, and I still need to investigate more about this. Organic, not organic. I mean, I see the difference in bananas on the shelves, but some of the other stuff, I've tried eggs, I've tried all sorts of stuff, chicken. Not really much of a difference in my perspective, and a huge drain on the wallet, which kind of runs contrary to the whole personal finance side of investing and growing your wealth, where you should save your money, cut back, and then compound that money into millions one day. But we'll see what he has to say moving forward with this junk food thing. Small point there. Another fun fact: pasture raised is actually much better than cage free. Cage free is just a marketing term, but even if they're not in cages, they're usually still stuck in these like really small coops where the chicken can't roam. The only one that's actually by law guaranteed to let them roam is the words pasture raised. Fun fact. For me, it's ice cream and snacks and chips, not alcohol. I never liked the taste of alcohol. That's a tough one for me. This is one I definitely totally agree with. Uh, the only exception would be when I really think I deserve a treat or a gift, and then I'll just get a little bit. Um, or if you're always just completely cutting or starving yourself out, it really kind of just drains your willpower and your will to move on. So for me, I try and get 90% of my foods healthy, and sometimes I hit that mark, sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's 25% unhealthy, but or more. But I try my best, and that just kind of gets me through it. Like if I have one thing in my shopping cart that's unhealthy, then that's good. But there's some general intent there. That's the main thing. I think people just don't care. And I love studying other people's shopping carts when they're in line with me. Sometimes it's just 99% unhealthy junk food. It's crazy. 3 cookies. I like that. I don't think that's common etiquette. I've seen a lot of people just like jolt out and just like tune you out if a certain phone alert comes on. Um, I definitely agree though. Like it's kind of rude when that happens, unless they really want to do that because they're just not interested in you. But um, sometimes you just get distracted, and I always put my phone face down, and sometimes I'll tick on the orange thing on the side here. Um, and that thing just like silences all my phone calls, especially in meetings. or anything where that's really important, you have to be present in the moment. And your phone is your biggest distraction, really. Keep it away from your desk if you can. I agree. I've been guilty of that. His video production is so good. Like it could almost be stock. It can almost be stock footage. Look at that aerial shot. So yeah, this tip is basically a double of the first one, and how I mentioned, like for some free-willed people, they prefer something physical. Um, for me personally, I think everyone should at least write down using pen and paper anything that they want to burn into their memory, whether that's a goal, whether that's a visualization, an affirmation, or some study notes. Writing it out with pen and paper rather than typing it is key. And that's what a lot of copywriters will use when they're writing sales copy. Okay, so this video is getting pretty long. I think I'll watch the rest by myself. I think it's around 30 minutes, so I doubt anyone's gonna uh, keep going after this. So thank you so much, and subscribe.